Don't like the wind bullseye.
I gotta talk about it on time.
Alright,
So, guys, if you have 160 minutes and you're playing 40 songs, how long is that?
You multiply it by 40, you multiply it by
That's
40.
on average 4 minutes per song. So there's your X bar. You already had mu sub X bar, and you already had mu sub or sigma sub X bar.
I just multiply everything by 40.
It depends on which one you did that with.
I mean,
So if you took,
some
so here's the thing, if you took that and multiplied it by 40, so 1.1 times 40, that did not work.
What?
No! If you took sigma sub X bar and multiplied by 40, the 0.1 etc. times 40, that would work. However,
Well, like, what
again,
if
you
you
could have
put
just
in
done the
the
sampling
Did you not
distribution.
have like done 3.9 minus 1.1?
What?
Was the mean not this one, right?
Because it's
It
the
was
same.
3.9.
No, this was the way easier way to do it.
Okay, maybe yes, but
Okay, I did.
you see, we didn't think like that.
Yeah.
I did both.
I could not.
My thing was, what I thought was, if you know, if you take
Yeah, sampling
it, if you take
distributions.
it, when it back before
Dude,
you multiply
I have
by
one
40,
pimple here, one pimple here.
3.9, you might-
I'm
Wait,
literally-
wait,
I'm
wait,
literally-
Serena, if you won't stop complaining.
I'm literally peeking.
This
Look.
gives your Z
Look at my
the
forehead.
same as if
Okay,
you
but
were
you
to
have
take
things to
your
cover.
160,
They're right here on my face.
subtract the 156 and divide by.
I know, but like I
Yeah.
can feel
I
them.
have one in my
They're
on my
deep.
nose.
It gives you the same exact Z
Okay,
score,
Ralph.
standardized
It was
score.
a,
Guys, regardless, I need you to get your confidence interval crap out. We gotta get moving. So, here's the thing to remember though. If you have sampling distributions, which was all about means and sampling distributions, and just use your X bar minus mu sub X bar. So yeah, you could scale it up, but
So let's say I like did the math.
let's say
But,
we
like, I
did
still
confidence
taught-
intervals. Then you can earn partially correct.
I don't know, like
You can
they're
always
too
earn
far.
partially
I
correct.
yacked very
Alright,
confidently.
so confidence intervals for proportion. So we just need to learn how to be more confident while being right moving forward. So confidence intervals for proportions, ladies and gents. So as a recap from yesterday, interpreting a confidence interval. What do we need to put when we interpret a confidence interval?
Get your feet off my
I
head.
thought we did that one.
Yeah, I know. Recap. Recap.
Point estimate plus or minus margin of error.
Okay, so
Intervals.
point estimate plus or minus margin of error. What else?
Intervals, a comma b, point estimate equals a plus b over 2.
So if you average your two ends to your confidence interval, by the way, do we ever use brackets? No. Confidence intervals, we do not use brackets. Okay, so you just find the middle of the interval, so the average, right? Divide by 2 and then find the difference.
I know.
But more importantly, and this part killed me, when you interpret the confidence interval, do you quite literally say, we are, I'm making this up, 90% confident that the interval from 0.23 to 0.47 captures the true, and then write the word context?
No. The context is figurative as in like you describe
Insult
what you're
context
talking about.
here.
Yeah, you gotta put the context into the problem. Okay, just wanna make sure that's clear. Put your context in there, right? Hope we put our context in on the sampling distribution question about the rock and roll song length.
Oh yeah.
Okay, context, context, context. Alright, from there, so we started looking at this yesterday. What does 95% confident mean? And so I actually went ahead and pulled this up to make our time a little bit speedier. If I can find where I put, there it is. Alright, so I did 9,990 trials. It actually wouldn't let me go anymore. Okay? And so, how many of those intervals actually hit? What percent, I should say?
95, so 96%.
So 96%. If I was able to continue that in the long run, what percent of those intervals should hit? 95%, right? So as I said, in the long run, law of large numbers ideas.
Isn't that wrong? It says the percent hit and then this is a proportion?
What?
So what is the percent hit?
Yes, that is a proportion hit. You are correct. Yes, sir. All right. So, without clicking reset, drag the confidence level from 80% to 95%. We actually did talk about this yesterday, so I'm actually going to go from 95 to 80%. So,
Make it 100.
notice, actually,
You can't make it 100, you can only
Shut
make
up.
it 99.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. No, I want to point this out really quickly.
Wow.
Right here, guys, confidence level of 80%. Notice, did it actually hit 80% of the time or even close to that?
No.
No.
Why not?
Sounds like
Sounds
very
Like
good.
size, or ceiling variable.
Yeah, and so like that's why it might be close but not quite there, but after 9,900 hits, it shouldn't be that far away. You should be able to push the door, if not, push, okay. I want you to think about this again. I need y'all to look up here again. There's actually a really, really, really important reason why this confidence level and this sample size is not hitting at the right rate.
The sample size is small.
Yeah, what about, what's the problem?
But it's not
It's not
30.
It's below
sufficiently
30.
large.
So,
What does that really, because you said it doesn't have to be 30.
actually it's not the confidence level, I lied, sorry. Look back up here.
Oh, right.
Population proportion, is that what's up?
So notice, if I do a population proportion of 0.5 and a sample size of 20, that just barely gets me to what?
10.
10. Notice N times P. The further beyond 10 we get for both of them, the closer the rate is going to be to hitting. So sample size of 100, I'll reset it, dang it. Okay, so now I have 80%, right? What is my capture rate at this point?
Basically.
Well, you keep on changing it.
Well, it's basically 80.
But it's basically what rate?
80.
80%, right? We need to recognize that the higher the sample size, the higher the hit rate. Dang it, I didn't mean for that to happen. All right.
Keeps on messing up his own stuff.
I don't need your negativity, but also I get it. I screwed up. All right. That is surprisingly far away from 80%. Granted, it is decreasing. All right. So what happens as I increase that confidence level again?
The percent hit will go to that
So-
confidence level.
So the percent that hits rises, but why? What's happening up here?
They're
much
getting
are
wider.
married?
So-
The, shoot, what is it?
Yeah, what's getting
Margin.
margin of error is getting wider or larger, right? So notice you can literally see those bars get bigger and smaller. Notice how a bunch of them are red right now? Now less of them are red. And those bars keep getting wider and wider. Is the point estimate moving at all?
No.
No, I just want you to focus on these right here. Those are the point estimates, right? Have they moved?
No.
Nope. All that changed with our confidence level is how wide that interval is. We need to recognize that only thing that is changing is how wide that interval is. So what happens to the intervals when the confidence level is increased?
Widens.
The intervals
Margin.
intervals widen.
Oh, yeah.
Intervals widen. Why?
Because with bigger margin of error, you have more confidence.
Yeah, if I would say, like, literally, I want you to think about it. If you have a larger margin of error, you're more confident that you're capturing that value, right? Now, do we always want a wider interval? No. But intervals widen, so there is a higher confidence in what?
It'll capture the true. I don't know.
Proportion.
Capturing the true proportion. What's another way to say true proportion?
Population proportion.
Another way to say it?
P.
Another way to say it?
It's not capital.
Yeah.
No.
Definitely not that one.
I don't know. You just say. I just say stuff.
Parameter.
Huh?
Oh.
Say it again.
Parameter.
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 Because I need y'all to hear me on this. Yes, we only are talking about proportions right now, but do you think this is only going to be about proportions for all of time?
No.
I wish.
We're also going to be looking at what?
Me.
Memes. Jade, you alive? You good?
No, he's for something like that.
Is he upset?
Bro's mad, he missed like 3 questions.
Okay. So intervals widen, so there's a higher confidence in capturing the parameter. And again, when we say the intervals widen, what is getting bigger? Margin of error increases. Okay, so margin of error is increasing because that interval is widening.
You're not
All right.
sleeping beauty, bro.
So what happens to the
It's the
intervals
flowers.
when we change the sample size? Okay, so now we're going to leave the confidence level at 95% and increase our sample size. What do you think is going to happen as we increase our sample size?
Variability.
Variability
go
will
down.
shrink. Well, no, actually.
Variability of what shrinks? The
Oh, like how much?
Sampling
Sampling
distribution, there we go. But what's gonna happen to the intervals when we change the sample
They'll
size?
stay the same.
Think so?
No,
Wait.
they would become proportional to
Oh,
the.
yeah, proportional.
Yeah, they become proportional.
What does it
to
say, 20 and then 250?
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay,
You're just hating.
so keep your eye
Those
on
really
those intervals. Alright, you see the intervals that are being created? Okay? And then when I go to a sample, so we're hitting at a rate of 0.978 right now,
Bless
getting
you.
close to 0.95. Okay, so let's increase our sample size up to 250. So what do we think is going to happen to those intervals?
Decrease.
Those intervals are going to get
Small.
smaller?
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, why is the
Sample
interval
size.
getting
They
The
smaller?
become
variability is
proportional.
going down.
Okay, so the
There's less variability amongst the samples or whatever.
More
Something like that.
precise.
You can't add something like that to everything you say.
so what happens to the intervals when the sample size is increased? As n increases, the intervals
I wrote the wrong thing in the wrong spot.
get narrower. What's another way to say that using a vocabulary term we've learned in the last 2 lessons?
The margin of error gets smaller.
Right? Margin of error decreases. And so why is that happening again? Like,
Because sampling variability goes down as the sample size increases.
we've seen that with sampling distributions, right? As the sample size increases, the spread of the sampling distribution decreases, right? So the error, right, is going to go down. At the same confidence level, right? At the same confidence level, I can have a narrower interval, okay? So why is that happening? Again, sampling or variability in sampling distribution.
Jen, can you stop making up bars?
Decreases.
Pay attention.
Is.
Yeah, pay attention.
Oh, I can't watch that.
Variability, but clearly you were, but variability is sampling,
You're in my first.
variability in the sampling
That was big
distribution
bro, so big bro.
decreases. Okay, so we just need to recognize if we want our confidence to go up, what's going to happen to our interval? So
Increase.
to increase confidence, we have to do what? Increase the what?
Margin of error.
Increase margin of error, widen the interval.
So,
So, go ahead.
is the confidence level like what they give you? Like on a question, they would give you the confidence level and you.
Nate, you could answer that. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Nate stayed after class, talked about that with me yesterday. So that is the right question. I need y'all to hear me on this. Because Nate was troubled yesterday. He was like, so we're going to have to figure out the confidence level first. And the answer is no. If you want to be more confident, if you want to increase your confidence level, you're going to have to make that thing wider. If you're okay with having a low confidence, then you're going to be able to make the interval narrower.
Yeah, I don't have confidence in
And
myself
so-
because I'm skinny.
Is a high confidence always a good thing?
No.
No, because
Why
that
not?
would be
Because
accurate.
you could be wrong.
Well, it's not just that.
Yeah,
You
Because
could be like Jamie, you're
There's
confident.
a high confidence.
Yeah, it would be precise or well, it would be accurate, but
So,
it would be precise.
here's what we want to recognize. Last thing before we move on to the next piece, I need to look at it. If I was 99% confident, but my interval went from here to here, is that helpful?
No.
No, right? Like a 99% confidence level and interval doesn't help when it captures all of that. That doesn't tell me jack, right? So, yeah, if we want higher confidence, we're going to have to increase the margin of error. But what can we do to balance that so that we can
Increase
decrease the...
sample size.
So if we increase in, that lowers the margin of error, right? So there's a balancing act there. Now, so then why do we not do a sample size of 1 million?
Because
That's
it's
really
like
hard.
the
What's the point?
Where are you gonna get 10 million from? Like, hello?
Well, unless
Let's say we're looking at the entire population of the US and we want to know about voting.
And that's gonna
Too much
take
white.
I
forever.
know.
1 million people,
We already know
right?
enough.
10%
We already know
of the
enough.
Yep, that's gonna take forever.
So one, at some point we have to consider the 10% condition. you're talking about all voting Americans, then I think we'd still be okay with 1 million. But the 10% condition does come into play at some point, right? Okay, so we gotta think about 10% condition. But also, what is it required to survey 1 million people?
A
A lot of resources.
Time, money, energy, resources, all those things, right? So we've got to make sure that we are being efficient with our time. So we can't use the most massive sample sizes, but we can do
I'm sorry.
change our confidence. All right, so did I put? Apparently not. Okay, so interpreting a confidence level. I thought I made some notes myself. Hold on 1 second.
I should have had 2 levels.
She a little faster. I see like one later, I look over the top, there's mistakes like 4.
That is better than here.
Yo, Jake, why are you making it so weird, bro?
Are those fake or real flowers?
Real.
I'm surprised
Real,
they're not already.
real.
Brayden's really working hard.
Real. Jaden.
Working hard on what?
Smile.
Trying to steal Jaden.
No. Those are actually not intended for
Do you
him.
pick them up?
Oh,
or-
who are they intended for? Who are they intended for, Brayden?
Oh, it's a kid for somebody, because you just see his face.
I know.
Just like I drew. Okay, where'd y'all go? Peter, where'd my comment go?
So, I actually jumped ahead a hair. I knew I.
Why'd you wear the ugliest flowers? Like,
Wow.
I'm just kidding.
Sophie got those to
Those
me.
are
They're
so-
not mine. They're
Hey,
Sophie's.
guys.
She has such pretty
Learning
ones.
target number 1.
Wow.
So a higher confidence increases the margin of error, right, which widens the
She had
interval.
prettier ones than you do.
Those are hers. Hello?
I know, but she had like different flowers.
And then a higher sample size.
Did we rewrite that?
I mean, this goes on the backside, so if you already have a written one, that's fine, but I would put it here. But a higher sample size decreases the margin of error, right, narrowing the interval.
Here, we're using a wide interval to my high confidence. Okay.
God bless you.
Is there a reason you're saying that? Are you implying something? Oh.
Wait, I should write that on a poster. That would be looking fire.
Okay, learning target number 2 though. So we got learning target number 1. It's all about how we can change the interval. Yesterday we talked about how to interpret a confidence interval, right?
Yes.
That with 95% confidence, the interval from A to B captures the true parameter with our context. But today we need to talk about how to interpret a confidence level. So what do you think we mean by the confidence level?
How confident we are.
Good job.
Genius. Blowing me away.
No. Certain no.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, I'm gonna look at my notes for this one because this is a very granular thing that I always want to be careful with the language on it. But, so first off, what did we notice about that confidence level? Does it happen for just 100, for 10 samples or 100 samples?
It happens for all
In
of
the long run.
Say that again.
The long
Oh
run.
my
In the long run, right? So
Oh my god, here we go again.
after
Many.
many
Charles.
trials,
This is literally what I wrote on my test.
what?
Wait,
I forgot to put after many trials on my
wait, me
test.
too,
Wait,
shoot.
what if I
Stay calm, stay calm, stay calm. Okay, right here.
That's
Right.
acceptable.
Right here, after many trials, what?
Well, if it's something there, I definitely can put that.
Blank percent
Oh my god.
confidence level?
Peter, you being.
I should, yeah.
Wait for the
After
describing
many-
distribution. Which
I
one?
think it's that one.
We'll do this. We'll say samples, after many samples and
Oh
calculating.
my god.
I have to erase all this.
Oh, I'm so
Not
sorry.
that much. Wow.
First of all, not too much on the unambitious people over
Yeah, literally.
Okay, we
After
that was
many
so
intervals-
weird.
What was that eye? It was
Like for real, I think he
Where
needed
did
it.
these schools be back?
After many samples and calculating an interval, a
I can actually read her handwriting.
blank
You'll fuck your
No, you ain't talking.
confidence interval.
You just said
Oh.
You're not gonna talk, you Pittsburgh.
Hey, I can hate because I
I
am.
have so many straight bullets in this class right now.
As it should be.
Okay.
Oh.
Ooh.
You
See,
sassy
this
with
is a
me.
different kind
Hey,
of.
just cut it straight. Hey, I need us thinking, right? After many samples and calculating an interval, a blank percent confidence interval will what? Well, what's the whole point of a confidence interval? Capture
Good job.
the what?
The true proportion.
So, or it could be, so the parameter,
The true parameter.
which, what do we need to put with that parameter? We need to put
Context?
context. Do I put the word context?
Yes.
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 We'll capture the parameter, how often?
That percent of time.
Okay, so after many samples and calculating an interval, a blank percent confidence interval will capture the parameter blank percent of the time.
That feels kind of redundant.
Too bad. Literally, all of
That's
staff writing is redundant.
Still, how you have to interpret a confidence
Yeah,
interval,
hey,
my
what'd you-
confidence
what'd you-
level.
The meaning of the sample.
What do you feel like is redundant up there, Peter?
Huh? It's just many samples.
Who cares?
What?
Of
Do what
size.
they want.
I don't know.
What's the question?
That's it.
It's
Oh,
about
no,
time.
that's gonna make me get
It's
pee
about
on like
time.
everything.
That's how life is.
I'll say this, I'll go ahead and tell you this. It's not very often that they're asking you to interpret a confidence level, it's usually the confidence interval. So, but at the same time, I would still learn that, like, the idea though of a confidence level, think of like a probability. But it's not the probability of a single interval. Probability in general is in the what? Long run. It's never in the short run. So if you just think about it as probability in the long run, so after many samples and calculating an interval, we'll capture the parameter this percent of the time.
It's not that bad, be so real.
Well, it's not.
AP
Yeah.
math.
Like,
It
this
was
is like
instant.
actually a funner. Yeah, funner.
She just makes us walk bell to bell and like.
I know, that sucks.
no.
It sounds like
No,
somebody I
really?
know.
That'll
Oh my
depend.
god.
But the AP exam was
So it's
You'd
actually.
be really good friends with Miss.
Yeah, but
Already,
this
like,
class
actually
is
talk to her.
entertaining.
I mean,
Macro
we're
is
talking, we get along
entertaining.
very
well.
Yeah, we'll probably.
Alright, so checking your understanding.
We actually left you.
Yeah, let's do this check your understanding. I'm gonna give y'all 7 minutes to work within your small groups to answer these 4 quick questions max, and then we're gonna get going to the next part.
Well, it's not
Interval
correct.
is
It's
the
not correct.
confidence interval. So
Yeah, it's
after
reversal
many
surface area.
samples
Let's
and
use
etc.
these.
Isn't the confidence?
Be careful.
Isn't it interpreted?
Does it ask for the confidence level or the interval?
Oh my gosh.
You got, that's where you have to be intentional. Is it
That's
asking
okay.
for a level or an interval?
Isn't it interval right there?
Well, I'm sorry, it's not world.
Condensed directly.
Period.
Alright,
Glad you're aware.
This means
So,
that you extracurricular
let's talk about it.
This does not take.
okay, so let's look at this one. Right here, so I think confidence interval, confidence level, from what I saw around the room, we're good. I need you to notice, be careful on the difference between a confidence interval interpretation and a confidence level interpretation. Okay? There are different times that those will be asked that will be on your AP progress checks. It'll be on the AP exam. C. So, what's happening in C, Jaden and Braden? What's happening in C, right, to affect the confidence interval? So it says, how would a 90% confidence interval from a sample of size 200 compare to the original 90% interval?
The margin of error is.
The margin of error will decrease,
And the intervals.
and the interval will get narrower, but why?
Because
Because the
more
sample
intervals.
sizes are going up, right? So as that sample size increases, the confidence interval will get narrower, but notice, will that affect the confidence level? No, that's the beauty of it, right? Increasing the sample size maintains my confidence level while the interval gets narrower. D, explain what would happen to the length of the interval if the confidence level were decreased. That confidence interval would get narrower, right?
Yes.
The consequence, or the benefit of decreasing the interval is that there's less range there, but we are less confident in our values. Describe one potential source of bias in the study that is not accounted for by the margin of error.
Sampling bias.
They're all athletes.
Well, but notice the physical PE teacher at a large high school wants to estimate the proportion of students at this school that can do a pull-up. He selects a random sample of 30 students, excuse me, who are available for after school for sports practices. Guys, right there, like, that's super convenience, right? That's athletes. Are athletes gonna be more likely or less likely to do a pull-up?
More.
Way more likely. So does that sound like good data to you?
No.
No, right?
Yes.
Definitely not. So,
Yes.
it's bad statistics, you are correct. So make sure you pay attention to this, because here's the thing. How confident are you in this interval now?
Not.
I'm not. If you collect data in a bad way, doesn't matter how good your inference procedures are, your data still sucks, okay? So I need you to understand and keep in mind, like if you collect data in this way, your interval means nothing. You've got to, now we'll point out, did he have a random sample?
Yeah.
He did
Yeah,
actually.
it says he selects random.
He selects a random sample, but it was of a bad sample in the first place. So keep that in mind. We got to have good samples. All right. So let's look at some Hershey Kisses.
Do you actually have them?
What?
Do you actually have them?
Oh yeah, I do.
Can we hear
Hey! All right. Let's erase this. All right.
Hey, Gina, you're kind of eyeing the Hershey.
You
Whoa.
So-
wish you had a chance.
We will get a chance to eat some of these in a second. All right. When you toss a Hershey's Kiss, though, I don't know if you've ever done this before, but when you toss a Hershey Kiss, there's two ways that it could land. It could land flat side up, or it could land on its side like that. And I'm apparently really bad.
We know.
Hey!
Okay, let's see
No, that's
the
fine.
That's, come on now.
It's bias.
It was that way originally. Get off. All right, get off.
Gravity is
So,
Wrap it up.
I'm here for gravity.
It's not that deep.
Order.
So when you
You ran it out,
toss,
little bro.
hey, when you toss a Hershey Kiss, it sometimes lands flat and sometimes lands on its side. What proportion of all tosses will land flat? So you are going to take a random sample of 50 tosses.
Bet.
That is not 50 Hershey's.
Oh, yeah, probably.
That is 50
Well, we
tosses.
did that today or tomorrow.
at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
That's perfect.
I will.
Okay.
We're throwing
Great
it
point,
50
Mr.
times
Kenny.
in 5 minutes?
So you got
You
5.
got-
Okay.
Smart. Wait. The surface matters though.
Okay, so I need you to collect your data before we end class today. I need you to collect 50 data points.
Oh jeez.
Okay, I'm
And
good.
you get to eat all 5 Hershey's.
All of us?
I'm gonna be
Or hugs. Or Hershey's Kisses or hugs. So, whichever
Oh, you
one
got
you want.
I mean,
Dude, don't do it at the same time.
You gotta do 50 tosses.
Can we do it at the same time?
Hey, I only got these ones.
Dude, I'm too
Yeah.
This is so
Wait, yeah,
scary.
trade.
You should split it up.
Alright,
Mister, can you do it at the same
Wait a
time?
minute.
Oh yeah, let's get. I got.
listen. You each
okay, wait,
need to
Nick.
do
There you
50.
go.
Does it matter if I go like this?
Because if we do it on the desk.
Oh, that's not bad though.
Oh, that's fine with me.
Oh, let's see more.
I will say this, technically we need independent samples.
Yeah.
So realistically, you probably should toss them
Individually.
individually.
Oh okay.
Hello?
These are gonna be like fresh by the time I come.
Hey.